Well, so what's about to happen now? I think we are finally at the point where we can pull this out and research, locate evidence, find out what in the world.
Find the elusive bearing.
Right, because it like I didn't even think it existed because there was no trace of it. There was no scarring on the motor where it got eat up. Nothing. So
no damage on the shaft, nothing. I mean, you know, I think you showed it here, David, whereby the bearing couldn't have gone anywhere. The bearing could have gone.
Yeah, it's all sandwiched in there.
They couldn't have gone anywhere else, right?
And what we've got left now is we've got all the bolts loose. We got all the electrical plugs undone. So it's a matter of just pulling the rest of the bolts off the swing arm bolt, and so we're going to show all that and basically just split this thing. We were waiting a little bit on some gaskets because when we reassemble this thing we're going to put a set of rings in it, and obviously we got to go back with new gaskets, so we've been waiting on that, so that's why it's kind of taken a little while. So what you're about to see now is the final loosening of the bolts and then the motor coming out.
Take this damn motor, put it on that bench, open it up, and show me where those bearings are.
Don't let it drop.
No, I won't. I got it. Okay. Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
That puppy is out.
All right, so try and put it onto the table there somewhere.
All right, let me get it.
Check this out. You got on video?
Yeah.
And something baby flippy.
So we're gonna
Why
get
is
it
it so
out.
much lighter there?
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if you could ride it like that? And there's the motor. So the head and cylinder and everything's going to come off. We've got new rings that are going to go in it, because if we're going to have it all pulled apart, why not put a set of rings in it since it's got 100 hours on it. And then the case is going to get split, and we're going to look in the middle and see if we can find any metal. So that's next. Well, the head and cylinder are off finally. So now it is time to mount this case splitter. And just so everybody knows, we're going to use a Tusk case splitter. And basically it's pretty simple. You got these movable arms, and it'll mount. This center part will go on the crankshaft, and then these arms, you'll want to line them up with 3 different locations on the case where where the side of the case is. And then basically what it does is, as you push on the crankshaft, you'll be pulling on the side of the case, because it's pretty much glued together with some a bonding agent. And so you want to take it easy. You want to kind of, as you tighten this up, you'll want to tap on the case a little bit and kind of pull it apart. But so we're going to install that. Yeah, it only goes in one more. Wasn't that nice of them? I tell you, man, when you jump in your motor like this, you start learning all kinds of damn fancy shit. But do you want it just in case? You check it. Yeah, I mean, I think it appears as though it only goes in one way. Like, you check it.
It is strange, but I mean, that'll be nice if it is.
You can't even get it though.
Yep, it goes in one way. Yep, good to go. I wonder how they did that though.
Let's put out a disclaimer here. We're not certified dirt bike mechanics, but we're you know what? We got YouTube, we got a manual, so why not tackle it ourselves? But it is interesting how the engineers do that. They do look after us. So if we're total idiots,
We'll take all these out here.
we won't totally screw it up. Some of these will be longer and shorter, and it'll be obvious, and you can't really mix match them. So I mean, when you go to put it back, the 1 bolts will only go in certain areas. Like obviously that one's long, it'll bottom out. You got all these out?
No.
So what you're going to want is to make sure you're sort of in a cross triangular type pattern with this. And you want to tighten that down just a hair. And of course this one, you'll want this as even.
Pull the motor out here. Pull it this way a little bit.
Can we lay it just on its back? Yeah, because you're going to want it.
To check it on its pulling motor.
Yeah. Well, I tightened the top down.
Yeah, so that should be okay.
Mm.
Looks like it's all pretty even.
Tighten it easy and sort of watch it as it starts coming apart. What did we say that this?
You just have to tap it a little bit. You got that big. You want to use this one or the other one?
Whichever. They say just where it's going to hang up is here as it's coming off of this.
So I should tap it here.
Mm. What'll happen is if you don't, it'll let go all at once. Kind of. All right, that's good. Here.
Yeah, it's splitting there. Starting to come.
Boom. There it came. Look at that big crack.
You scare the shit out of me, man. Huh?
Didn't want to let go.
Should we tighten more here or take
try-
this off?
Yeah, see if it'll just ease it on all even. Alright, now, what I would do is leave it like this. Let's don't rock it back, because you know you got all your gears and shit,
Okay.
and they are, you know, when you set this thing down, all this has to kind of be in place. So
tap it there on this while I turn it. Tap it on those things, those two.
that was it.
Yeah, there you go. It's coming loose now. It's just that little.
That last come off the shoulder of that crankshaft. That's all it needed. You want to do a drum roll?
Yep, definitely.
Easy. Where's that flash?
Can I turn this thing upside down?
Nah. Well, yeah, you can.
Can we see what's on the inside of this?
Mm-hmm.
Just have a look here. Let me turn it.
It's clean.
There's some metal shavings in there, but it's very small. That's still the stuff
Right on the
from.
bottom down
Yeah, do you see that little spring part there? That's still from the one-way clutch.
But most of your stuff, I still see no bearings, like. It is only.
Still that spring from the one-way clutch. Look there. See that there?
Mm-hmm.
That's still a spring from the one-way clutch. That. Where's that bearings? See this here is from the spring. That's from the one-way clutch.
Mm-hmm.
It's not from the bearing.
Where's your drain?
Here's the drain on this side. That's the drain right there.
What was it bumping?
Right up where the side.
All right, and you got
I think
another
so.
one of those ordered.
Yeah, yeah,
And we'll have to clean that up.
yeah. But there's not one thing about needle bearings.
Or that cage or anything. It
Nothing.
was not in there. I mean, I'm telling you.
I can turn this thing other way, but I'm scared all that stuff, all this will fall out, right?
Yeah.
All that's going to fall out. But it won't be lying in here, will it? You don't think it could be lying in this section?
Well, you can see, you can feel almost all the way in there. I mean, I can
I'll hold this here if you want to hold it up and just feel on the other side.
You look and see if
No,
yeah, see?
there's nothing there.
I mean, that one-way clutch is all in there, but see, this is your screen, and it'll come out.
That metal on that needle bearings, those little
These.
metal parts. No, that's from the one-way clutch.
Oh,
That's a
the
flat
cage,
from
the whole.
from the needle bearings.
Well, so the passage, this meets that. So when this side of the case, when oil goes through, it's got to go through. So see how this baffle's in there? It keeps all that big stuff typically down below and not getting up into this. I mean, you still got metal up here. However, it's going to be little pieces, right? Nothing big is going to be able to get up in there. It's going to stay, I think, pretty much contained. Now, it might get up in here, because you can see it's got stuff. But where's that needle bearing at to show? Right.
There's nothing of this part thing anywhere.
Right, and that's steel.
That is special hardened steel, that, right? We should have found something, some remnants of at least these, right?
Well, there you go. You saw what we saw. Now the next video will be us putting this all back together, and fingers crossed, we'll be able to get this thing back running. I would have added it to this one, but it would end up being a 30-minute video. So the next one, I hope we can get this thing back running. I'm not going to make any speculations. I only deal with facts. I was not there at the Kawasaki plant when this motor was assembled, so I can't say for certain if all the parts were in the motor or not. Now, this video probably raises more questions than it answers, so I will discuss a couple of things. And one question would be, how would it run without the bearing in there? So we took the motor over to Dave Sherwood, who is a certified mechanic and is also a complete neutral party. We showed him the motor and all the parts, and he made also some speculations that I won't add in the video, but he did say that he felt the same way I did, that with the flywheel and the starter gear and the one-way clutch assembled and placed on the crankshaft, that it would start and run, because without that bearing there, it stays sort of away from the crankshaft. So if you ride the bike like a 72-year-old man, just kidding, Ike, and not like Eli Tomac, I think you could possibly crank that bike and run it for a while without that bearing in there. Dave Sherwood felt the same way. We don't know. We're not going to try and duplicate it. So the question is, could it run? It's got 100 hours on the motor for that long without a bearing. I don't know. The fact is, there was no trace of it in the motor when we took it apart. So where did it go? I don't know. Did it eat it up? I have no idea. So those are the facts. The other question would be, did we go to Kawasaki to see what they could do? Their big thing is, you got to go to the dealer. That's where you start. We did. We have chatted with the dealer, and one of the big things that came up was, there is 100 hours on the bike, and they don't have any history with the bike. They haven't been working on it. I get that. I totally understand that when you have something with this many hours on it and it's over a year old and they don't have any history with that bike, they can't necessarily say yay or nay with what's going on. So I totally get that. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. We're still chatting a little bit with the dealer, and so we'll see from there. Now, that's a question that you have to ask yourself when you buy a dirt bike. And that's the thing with this sport. If you're not willing to take the tears and the heartache that this sport sometimes brings you, then probably not something that you want to take on. These things break. They break you. And so this is something that this is a hardship that you have to take on. And that's why I think a lot of people are very attracted to it, because it is tough. These machines break. They take a lot of abuse. And so you have to ask yourself, do you even want to go down this road sometimes? And, you know, do you do the work yourself, or do you have a dealership take care of it for you? If they've been working on it, they're more likely to go to bat for you when something like this will happen. But that's a gamble. Me personally, I'm not going to pay over $100, sometimes $150 an hour to have work done. It's a gamble that I'm willing to take. And in this case, if there was no bearing in that motor, it's a gamble that I think we're going to end up having to take. But we'll see. At the end of the day, I think I save quite a bit of money doing the work myself. So that's a question you have to ask yourself. So, there you have it. Next episode, we will be getting this thing back together. Also, one of the other things that we asked Dave is, in his opinion, was the motor hurt? He felt as though we would be able to get it back together and get it running and everything will be fine. He didn't see any big issues. He saw no damage to the crankshaft, to the flywheel, or to any of the internal parts inside the motor. We did have to replace the starter gear, the one-way clutch, and then purchase a needle bearing set to go back in there. So, there you have it.